I didn't hear about my dad's retirement party from him. I found out because my cousin asked if I could swing by early that day to fix a leaking valve in the community hall kitchen. She said it casually, like it was already agreed upon. When I asked what event it was for, she paused, then said, "Oh, the retirement thing. You know it might be better if you didn't stay. We don't really want you showing up with grease under your nails." She tried to soften it with a laugh, like it was about appearances, like it wasn't personal. I said okay before she finished the sentence. I've learned that pushing back in that moment only makes people explain themselves more honestly, and I didn't want to hear the rest. I've been a plumber for most of my adult life. It's honest work. It's also invisible work, unless something breaks at exactly the wrong time. Then I become essential, urgent, family. For years, I fixed things for them for free. Toilets before weddings, pipes before holidays, flooded kitchens the night before guests arrived. I never kept track. I told myself this was what being dependable looked like. When my dad announced he was retiring, I planned a trip for him. Nothing flashy. A few days by the sea, somewhere quiet. He'd never traveled without worrying about cost or obligation. I wanted him to sit somewhere and do nothing, just once. I hadn't told anyone yet. I was waiting for the right moment. After that call, I stood in my workshop longer than usual, staring at the trip details on my phone. I imagined handing him the envelope. I imagined the photos they'd take at the party, the speeches I wouldn't hear. I also imagined myself standing in the corner, hands scrubbed raw, pretending not to notice who didn't look at me. That night, I canceled his ticket and rebooked it under my name. I didn't feel brave doing it. I felt sick, like I was stealing something that wasn't fully mine yet. But I also felt something else, relief, thin but real. I told my dad I had a job out of town that weekend. He said okay. His voice didn't change. The trip wasn't dramatic, no revelations. Just mornings where no one needed anything from me. I walked. I ate slowly. I watched the ocean without thinking about time. For the first 2 days, I didn't post anything. It felt unnecessary. Then I took a photo of my hands resting on a cafe table. Clean. Uncut. A detail no one ever noticed when they mattered. I posted it without a caption. That was enough. By the evening, my phone started lighting up. Not concern. Confusion first, then irritation. My sister asked why I was vacationing, instead of helping with final preparations. My cousin said people were asking where I was. Someone else said Dad looked disappointed. No one asked if I was okay. The message that shifted everything came from my uncle. He said it was disrespectful to flaunt a trip when the family had spent so much on the party. He added that if I was going to act like this, I shouldn't expect calls when things broke. I stared at that longer than I should have. It was meant as a threat. It landed like a confirmation. I didn't respond. The party happened without me. I saw the photos later. Everyone dressed nicely. My dad smiling the way he does when he's surrounded by noise. A week passed. Then another. The silence was new. No calls. No sudden emergencies. At first, I thought they were waiting for me to apologize. Then my dad called. He didn't start with the party. He asked where I'd gone. I told him. He said it sounded peaceful. There was a pause longer than usual. Then he said, "They shouldn't have said that to you." I didn't answer right away. I was afraid if I spoke, I'd turn it into something bigger than he was ready for. "I didn't know how much you did," he added. "Not just fixing things, making things easier." It wasn't an apology. It wasn't a confrontation. It was an acknowledgement, delivered quietly, like he didn't want to disturb it. He told me he'd told them not to call me for work anymore unless they planned to pay. Not angrily, just factually. Like setting a boundary in a room that had never had one. After that, the calls stopped completely. Family gatherings became smaller. Invitations came later, sometimes not at all. When they did, no one asked me to arrive early. No one handed me tools. I'm still a plumber. I still get grease under my nails. But it's my choice now who sees that, and when. Sometimes I miss the version of belonging that came with being needed. Sometimes I wonder if I should have stayed quiet, kept things running, But when I look at the photo of my hands on that cafe table, I remember what it felt like to exist without being assigned a role. And that feels like something worth keeping, even if it cost me a room I was never really allowed to stand in comfortably anyway.